Hi, I'm Michelle Shingler, Editor-in-Chief of Foreword Reviews. Thank you for tuning in to Petit Forward, our bite-sized interviews with indie authors. Today we have the privilege of speaking with Emmi Itaranta, whose latest novel, The Moonday Letters, releases on July 19th. It's a stunning science fiction story that wraps a lament for Earth's damaged ecosystems into the story of lovers at an interplanetary crossroads. Emmi, thank you for taking the time to speak with us.
Thank you for having me.
So the principle of inviolability, essentially an intergalactic take on the wilderness principle to leave no trace, holds understandable appeal to the people of Lumi's time, when Earth exists as an example of what happens when you deplete a planet's resources. But the group that Saul gets tangled up with perhaps takes it too far. How do you think people should approach the ethics of colonizing the stars?
I think that's a very wide question and a very complex one. So I would say that no one has tried it before, so we don't really know how we are supposed to go about it. But if we think of Earth as an example of how we used to go and colonize places and land, etc., I think we should be pretty clear by now that with what we have done in the past, this sort of let's go somewhere and colonize it mentality, it didn't really work out too well. So probably trying to repeat the same thing in space is not necessarily a good idea. So I think whichever way we approach it, I think we should be very aware of the responsibility that we have for sort of going into new landscapes and basically designing them in with the idea of what we need. So maybe we should think about, rather than just what we need, maybe about how do we actually make this work and make it sustainable long term.
I was surprised to encounter a mosquito on Fuxi, but learned that they can persist in pretty stark conditions, maybe even make it to outer Earth colonies. That detail, among others from your various colonies, evinced some careful world building. On the author side of the equation, what was it like for you to construct and sometimes destroy these awesome spaces?
I love the world building part of the novel. I really, really enjoyed it. I did a lot of research and I could have continued that for years, but obviously you also have to get some writing done. But yeah, it was really a lot of fun trying to imagine all these new self-sustainable settlements in space, all that. And I've got to also say that without too many spoilers, I was very sad at one point during the writing process, because when I realized what was going to have to happen in the story to one of the colonies, it made me feel terrible. I mean, there are times when, as a writer, I don't really enjoy what I'm putting my characters through or my fictional world through, and this was one of those times.
So in a similar vein, Lumi and Saul have two cats with them in the course of the book. Cats in space are a pretty delightful touch, and I know I'd certainly want to take mine with me. What other terrestrial mainstays would you like to see included in space colonies, practicalities aside?
Practicalities aside, I like that. I think my answer is probably going to be fairly predictable. I would definitely bring my cats. I've got two, so they would both have to come with me. I'm not sure if they would enjoy it, but but I would love having them with me. Other than that, I would want to bring a forest, and I would want to bring a library. I think those three things would be a pretty good start.
Yeah. So your book fits into a fantastic growing trend of queer affirming science fiction. But the ease and loveliness of Saul and Lumi's marriage would not have always found a comfortable place in the genre, which was sometimes forward-thinking most in terms of technology, not really human relationships. As someone who's now written a gorgeous LGBTQ love story among the stars, what do you attribute this recent growth to, and do you think we can anticipate more?
Well, I think the simplified answer to that question is that as sort of real world awareness of and interest in improving LGBTQ rights has increased, at least in many parts of the world, it is probably now easier for LGBTQ writers and readers to get their voices heard and see the representation that they wish to see. obviously, I think you could also probably at least make the wild guess that maybe some of us just wanted to see that the diversity of the world reflected in science fiction as well, because for a very long time it was not reflected there. And I think we probably now are living in a moment when we have a better chance of bringing that into the fiction than we did for a very long time. So that's probably a part of it. And I definitely hope that this trend continues forever. I mean, I love seeing more diversity in my science fiction, and I really hope to see a lot more of it in the future. It's an ongoing process. There's still a lot more to do, but I think the current trend is encouraging.
Yeah, I agree. So this is an author's choice. It's what project are you working on next, or what are you reading that you'd like to recommend to others?
Well, if I'm allowed to recommend a book, I haven't actually started reading yet, but it's on my reading list next. So my next book that I'm going to read is Destroyer of Light by Jennifer Marie Brissett. I haven't actually started reading it yet, but I absolutely loved her debut, Elysium, some years ago. And I've been looking forward to reading this book for some time now. So I'm really excited about what it's going to be.
Thank you so much. It was an honor talking to you, and I hope everyone checks out your book on the 19th.
Thank you. Lovely talking to you.